and welcome to the 2015 version of integer operations. If you watch my other video, I'm going to update it. This is specifically for my algebra classes who just need a little bit of review. So sit back, enjoy. We're going to go over some integer rules, and hopefully you'll be reminded of what you did last year, and you won't make any mistakes with integer issues for the whole year. Are you ready? Let's go! Alright, so we're going to start with adding and subtracting. The adding, the rules are pretty easy, and we're only talking about two integers at a time. Okay? When you have more than two, you got to group them, but let's look at just two at a time. The question I want you to ask is, are the signs the same? Okay? The answer to that question can either be yes or no. And if the signs are the same, then you're going to add. If they are not, you're going to subtract. And both times you're going to take the sign, ooh, my handwriting is sloppy here, of the bigger number. And when I say take the sign of the bigger number, we're talking absolute value. Means ignore signs when you're deciding which one's bigger. Okay, so let's look at some quick examples. Say we have -2, whoa, it's a big 2, plus 3. -2 plus 3. Are your signs the same? I would say no. So we should subtract. 3 minus 2, doesn't matter the order, you can switch it up. 3 minus 2 is 1. And then, like we said, we're going to take the sign of the bigger number. Looks like between 3 and 2, ignoring that negative sign, 3 is bigger than 2, so final answer here must be positive 1. Okay, how about quick example number 2? Let's do -11 plus -4. Look how neat my writing was there. Alright, so are these signs the same? The answer is yes, so we're going to add. 11 plus 4 is 15, and take the sign of the bigger number. So it doesn't matter, they're both negative, so that means our answer is going to come out negative. Okay, another way to think about it is just if you want to think of like a war between positives and negatives. Now this is only adding rules, so don't confuse this with multiplication later on, but a war between the negatives and the positives. And when two from the same side, like these are both from the negative side, get together, they get stronger or bigger. But when they're against their enemies, they're going to fight. So that means someone's going to kill each other, and they'll be less. So we subtract. Okay? So that's your adding rules. If you want to, you can write this down, put it in your notes, just with some of the sets of notes that we did or whatever. Just as long as you remember this, because this is something that causes problems all throughout the year, and I can't have you forget it. Okay, but now we're going to move on to subtracting. Okay, and the key with subtracting this time is not are the signs the same. You want to look at really the second number when we're subtracting, and that second number, we're looking at the sign of the second number. It either can be negative or it can be positive. If we're subtracting a negative, we're going to turn it to add a positive. If the second number is positive, then we're going to turn that to add a negative. Okay? So, and in both cases, we are going to then, after this point, you want to follow these rules here. Adding. So essentially what we're doing with subtraction is turning it into addition. You can summarize subtracting rules with 3 words. Add the opposite. Okay, and let me show you what I mean with some quick examples. Okay, so we're subtracting, let's say 4 minus 10. Alright, and we're going to look at the second number. So this is 10. Yes, we're subtracting. For this case, just look at it. Is just this, ignore the minus sign, we know we're subtracting. So are we subtracting a negative or are we subtracting a positive? Clearly you should be able to see that we are subtracting a positive. So that will go to here, and we're going to turn it to add a negative. Let me fix that. This should say add a negative. Okay, so we're going to change this to 4 plus negative 10. And then we follow our adding rules back over here. Are your signs the same? No. So we're going to subtract. 4 minus 10, or 10 minus 4 is 6. Again, it doesn't matter which order you do it in. Take the sign of the bigger number, that would be negative. So we get negative 6 for that. Okay, and second example, how about 5 minus negative 3? Okay, so when we're looking at this problem, are we subtracting a positive or are we subtracting a negative? Should say that clearly we're subtracting a negative, and we're going to turn that to add a positive. So this becomes 5 plus 3. Back to our adding rules, signs are the same, so we add. Answer is 8. Okay, you guys are going to get a chance to practice this more. Next we come to our multiplying and dividing rules, and I'm lumping these together because the rule is the same, and this is even easier than the adding and subtracting. I think the difficult thing is keeping these rules separate from the addition rules, and don't get it confused. But when you're multiplying and dividing, just look at the two numbers. And we're only going to talk about two numbers at first, and I'll tell you what to do if there's more than two numbers. But if the signs are the same, the answer to that question can be either yes or no, if the signs of the two numbers are the same. If the answer is yes, your answer is positive. If not, the answer is negative. Some quick examples. Say we have negative 2 times negative 3. Are the signs the same? Yep. That means our answer is going to be positive. We just go through and multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. And like we said, answer is positive. Say we have negative 1 times 5. Are the signs the same? No. So multiply. 5 times 1 is 5. And because the signs are not the same, it's going to be negative 5. Also works with division. Let's say we have negative 2 divided by negative 2. Right? Are these signs the same? Well, yes, they're both negative. So when we divide, the answer is going to come out positive right here. And 2 divided by 2 is simply 1. So the answer would be positive 1. Okay? I'm going to give you a chance to practice those right about now. Well, not now. Sure. Let's give your brains a little bit of a break and take a second to read about Norman, the scooter dog. The dog that can ride a scooter. No, it's not Chewbacca. It is a dog that rides a scooter. But I thought it was like someone dressed up as a dog at first. Okay, if you want to, hit pause. Read this awesome article. Alright, now, like I said, this is your turn to try. Now, what I'd like you to do is take these, put all the answers on a sheet of paper, we'll check it for homework, and when you're all done, we'll go over the answers, and hopefully you get these all right. If you have to, go back, rewind, look at the rules, go back, write down the rules so you have them. This should just be a quick review. Oh, you know what? I'm realizing I just forgot something. So let me remind you about what happens in number 15 and 16. There's a trick. You could group the two numbers together, saying if the signs are the same, and then multiply with groups. But there's an easy way to do this. Count the number of negative signs. If the number of negative signs is even, your answer is going to come out positive. If you count the number of negative signs in your problem, and you know, which is a bunch of multiplication problems in this, and the number of negative signs are odd, the answer is going to come out negative. So that's an easier way to do multiplying these huge groups of numbers without, just grouping them. You can just multiply across and then count the negative signs. So give this a try. Hit pause. Do these problems. Hopefully it won't take long. Are you done? Well, keep practicing, and I'll leave you with this awesome comic. Yes, the dogs ate the math homework. Bye-bye.